Hi traders, welcome to this Blueprint Markets video update with me, ธิ์head currency analyst. In this video I'm going to take you through the week ahead and we're going to take a look at some news coming up this week and some charts of interest. So let's dive straight into the news. We've got quite a bit of high impact data covering over 2 days really. Tuesday and Wednesday we have some really significant high impact data coming out of Australia with the monetary policy meeting minutes. We also have some data out of China, which is the industrial production. We have some European countries bank holiday as well, which is just something to note. France and Italy will have a bank holiday on Tuesday. A lot of CAD and US data coming out in the afternoon British Standard Time. You can see here CPI month on month looking to actually come in a little bit hotter here for Canada, so maybe we might see a little bit of boost to that Canadian dollar. US retail sales as well coming out. US retail sales, both forecast core retail sales and retail sales month on month, both to jump from 0.2% to 0.4% potentially. If that does happen, we could see the dollar continue its little bit of strength that we've seen most recently. RBNZ is looking to keep rates the same at 5.5%, but it'll be the RBNZ rate statement where we find out the most, as well as the press conference, on what the outlook looks like going forward. Are they considering any further hikes, or is this the top now of their rate hike policy, and are they going to start to potentially bring rates lower or just pause rates in the future? That's what we're going to be looking at there for the RBNZ. And then we have the FOMC meeting minutes, which I think a lot of the market will be keeping their eyes on going into late Wednesday. Do the Fed, or have the Fed talked about pausing rates in the next meeting? How have they gone about talking about future rate hikes as well? I think the FOMC meeting minutes will be something to be interested in this week, as well as the unemployment claims at the end of the week on Thursday. Going on to the strength meter then, are there any notable changes? Well, the Australian dollar had a pretty poor week last week. So did the New Zealand dollar, being in that -6 area. Not too much anything else anywhere. The dollar has performed okay, still one of the stronger currencies, so expecting that potentially to go into next week. Talking of the dollar, we've got the dollar index here. This is actually a weekly time frame. That's meant to say weekly, not daily. Another strong bullish week now. Last week we discussed the potential for the dollar to actually maybe start to weaken. It was at that 102 level. We had a bit of a high test candlestick. However, the lower time frames didn't show any kind of change in that sort of bullish sentiment, and it continued higher. We're now approaching the 103 level, so this is the next point of resistance for us. Does the 103 hold, or does it break? If it breaks, then the next level of resistance comes in at the 104.50, perhaps even to the 105s. A hold here could invite a little bit of selling pressure, and that selling pressure could see prices start to move lower, maybe perhaps back down towards that 102 handle this week. Going on to Euro US dollar then, so we were looking at this in two lights as well. Again, kind of talking about the opportunity that could present itself if the dollar was to weaken or strengthen. Instead, the Euro US dollar price just remained within this range bound sort of consolidation pattern. We did an attempt to break out of the consolidation to the upside, but we didn't close above that zone. Instead, we had a really long wick to the upside, and then the next day it was followed with some bearish momentum. So if we do trade out of this zone, then we could probably see price going to seek these lows down through here. If we hold the zone, maybe a false breakout, and then if the dollar begins to weaken for whatever reason, we could see price trade to the upside. I just think at the moment that dollar is pretty strong, and there's no reason to be against it too much at this current moment in time. Saying that, the New Zealand US dollar is also very bearish. Last week we had a very strong bearish close. We came into and broke below the 0.6 handle, where you can see we've had a rejection in the past. Price working within this overall bearish channel. You can see we had a long rally to the upside. We've been making ever since lower lows and lower highs. So are we going to kind of come back to the channel supporting low, where we could find a bounce. If we do, then that's going to offer us some opportunities to the downside here. If the RBN said hold rates as well and then talk about not needing to hike rates any further, then that could also put some downward pressure on the New Zealand dollar in the short term, and we could see Kiwi continue its weak path. Going on to dollar yen then, I think it's quite important to note that the dollar yen is back at the 145 level. The last time we were here, we had a rejection that was down to basically the Bank of Japan saying that they could intervene at 145 handle. And we did get some selling coming through that. We then found support back at the 137.50, a nice area where price found some resistance in the past here, and then used it as support going forward. Nice trend line support as well. Price has then rallied since then, and we're back at this 145 handle. So the question is again, do we get that Bank of Japan talk? Do the Bank of Japan start coming out and talking of interventions again? A break above 145, 145.50 opens the door up to previous intervention levels, which came in around about the 150 to the 150, and you can see what happened then. Prices fell quite significantly. So are we going to get the same thing happening here again? A break above could see prices head towards these key swing highs. So definitely one to watch, I think, going into next week. Obviously some key data as well. Hopefully you enjoyed this video update. If you did, leave it a thumbs up, subscribe to the YouTube channel to see some more of our Forex trading content, and I'll speak to you in the next video.